Right, lads, we're going to use this video here to help correct your homework questions. Okay, so for today, you were working on the carbon cycle. We'll start here with question 1. Question 1 states, what is matter? This is a definition, so you must define it. Matter is anything that contains mass and has a volume. Or you could say matter is anything that contains mass and takes up space. In your definition, you must have contains mass and have either space or volume in that definition. Okay, so give yourself a tick if you got that. 2 compounds that contain carbon. This is question 2. So you could mention any compound as long as it is a compound. That means it's made of 2 or more different elements. So you could talk about, for example, carbon dioxide. You could talk about glucose. You could talk about, let me think, any other carbon-based molecule. Protein. You could talk about fats. You could talk about starch. All of those different molecules are compounds that contain carbon. Right, if you have any other carbon-based molecule you want to ask me about, you can put it in the comment section underneath this video. Earth has a finite resource, resources. Explain the term finite resources. This means that the resources are limited, okay, limited. And that means that they are not going to replenish themselves. So you could say something like, these resources are limited. They will run out. Okay, you could also say they run out. Question 4, what process moves carbon from the atmosphere to plants? The answer for this would be, if you're asked what process, so you must mention a process, and this is photosynthesis. Okay, so CO2 is absorbed from the atmosphere into plants. What process moves carbon from plants to animals? Okay, for this you could talk about the word nutrition. Okay, so that's nutrition because the carbon, the plants are being eaten by the animals, so you're talking about nutrition. Okay, you could also say digestion. Okay, that would also be acceptable. Right, 6, what process moves carbon from living things to the atmosphere? And again, process, you're talking about respiration. What is combustion? Combustion is the burning of fossil fuels, okay? So you have to mention there the burning, and then you could say of, you could say organic material, or you could say fossil fuels. What are the products of the burning of methane? Okay, so whenever combustion happens, it produces carbon dioxide and water. So the answers are carbon dioxide and water. Name 2 types of organic carbon stores. Now, they don't mention molecules, so you could mention, for example, trees. You could say any example of plants. You could say, for example, grasslands. You could say forestry. You could say peatlands. And all of those would be carbon stores. Again, if you have any other one you'd like to inquire about, put it in the comment section below. Name a carbon store formed from the remains of plants and animals. Okay, so you could be talking there about, for example, you could be talking about coal. Okay, it says name a carbon store, so you could be talking about coal, peat. You could be talking about natural gas. All of those would be fine. Name 2 types of inorganic carbon stores. So inorganic means that it's not found in living things. So you could talk about the ocean. So CO2 is dissolved in the ocean. Okay, so the ocean. You could also, well, of course, you could mention dissolved in rivers and streams as well. That would be an inorganic carbon store. Those would be the main ones there that I can think of. The carbon stores in the earth would be the ocean and other water bodies. Right, I have 30 seconds to quickly name these, so let's name them quickly. So what we have up here, we're label the carbon stores and processing diagrams in the carbon cycle. Okay, let's see, can we figure this out? Right, so what I have here is respiration, number 4. Okay, do you know what? I'm going to do a second video on this diagram here altogether.